Hello again, everybody. I'm Chris Reel, Baltimore City Guide and owner of Rent-A-Tour, back today with another Baltimore story. And today I want to talk about a seemingly unremarkable block of row houses on Dallas Street, right at the intersection of Fleet Street across from the H&S Bakery east of the harbor. Now, at first glance, these houses don't appear all that different from the countless others all over Baltimore. The red brick row house is by far the most common architectural style in Baltimore neighborhoods. In fact, they've really become a Baltimore icon. But these are special. These homes are special because they were built by a man named Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey. And that name might not mean a whole lot to you, but stay tuned. Frederick Bailey was born a slave on the eastern shore of Maryland in 1817 or 1818, and when he was still a young boy, he was sent to Baltimore to work in the shipyards of Fells Point. Baltimore is where he learned how to read and how to write, which was against the law. And even though Bailey was a slave, Baltimore also had the highest population of free African Americans in the country at that time. In fact, Bailey actually met and fell in love with a free black woman named Anna Murray. Bailey's relationship with Anna and his interactions with other free blacks in Baltimore only intensified his burning desire for freedom. And so in 1838, with the help and support of Anna, he managed to obtain protection papers that had belonged to a free black sailor. So now dressed as a sailor himself, Bailey boarded a northbound train at Baltimore's President Street train station and began his journey to freedom. Imagine how he must have felt on that long and fearful journey, traveling by train, by ferry, and eventually by steamboat before finally arriving in the city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, once he arrived in Pennsylvania, even though he was in a free state, he was still considered the property of his master, and he was being hunted by slave catchers. In order to elude those slave catchers, Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey changed his name to Frederick Douglass. And that's a name that might be a bit more familiar to you. Frederick Douglass married Anna Murray and would go on to become one of the most important figures in American history, eloquently speaking and writing from personal experience and with heartbreaking passion on the evils of slavery. Decades after the Civil War was over and slavery had been abolished, Douglass returned to Baltimore. He purchased land on a street that was once known as Strawberry Alley, and he actually purchased the land from the church where he had once worshipped. Douglass built a block of 5 brick row houses on that property as rental properties for African Americans. And so Douglass now owned property in the same city where he himself had once been considered property. And those houses are still standing on what's now known as Dallas Street. The significance of Frederick Douglass's story and the important role he played in American history cannot possibly be overstated. And in Douglass's own words, quote, "Going to live in Baltimore laid the foundation and opened the gateway to all of my subsequent prosperity." And when you visit Baltimore, you can walk in the footsteps of Frederick Douglass along the Belgian block streets of Fells Point. You can visit the President Street train station where he began his incredible journey to freedom. The President Street train station today houses the Baltimore Civil War Museum. And you can learn more about the life of Frederick Douglass and the lives of other historically significant African Americans at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum of Maryland African American History and Culture, at the Great Blacks in Wax Museum, and at the Frederick Douglass Isaac Myers Maritime Park and Museum. I'd love to take you there myself. For these and other inspiring tour ideas, visit our website, www.rentatour.com. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RealDeal125. If you're enjoying this video, please like it, please share it. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great content like this. And if you have an idea for a Baltimore story that you'd like to see, just let me know. I'll do my best to get that on for you. I'll be back with another Baltimore story real soon. But until then, thank you so much for watching. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you around.